Before the video begins, take a moment to review the video lesson's expectations. Happy learning! Alright, hola mis estudiantes and welcome to another how-to grammar video. Today we are talking about the preterite tense of the verbs ir, ser, hacer, ver, and dar. In our last grammar video we talked about the preterite tense of regular AR verbs, and we made the connection that verbs are spelled differently in the present and the past tense. Now, regular verbs in the past tense end in ED. Now, of course, this is language, so there are exceptions to these rules, what we call irregular verbs. We have irregular verbs in English, and we have irregular verbs in Spanish. An example of an irregular verb in English is go. When we put go into the past tense, it doesn't look like go anymore. Instead, it changes to went. I went to the reception desk. The verb for go in Spanish is ir. Ir, when we put it into the past tense, becomes fui, to say I went. We talked a little bit about ir already, but what we're going to see here is the preterite forms of ir and ser are exactly the same. So what you need to do is you need to use clues in the sentence to determine whether or not ir or ser is being used. We know that ir means to go and that ser means to be. So here's our chart with those conjugations. In the yo form, we have fui. In the tu form, we have fuiste. In the el, ella, and usted form, we have fue. In the nosotros and nosotras form, we have fuimos. In the vosotros and vosotras forms, we have fuisteis. Remember, the vosotros form is only used in Spain. And in the ellos, ellas, ustedes forms, we have fueron. And remember that tu is the informal or familiar way to say you, and usted is the formal way to say you. So we have two examples here using ir and ser. We're going to do the first one together. So we went to the amusement park. Fuimos al parque de diversiones. On the English side, we know we're going to use fuimos because the sentence says we went. So we're using the nosotros form. Now the second sentence is a little trickier, saying it was a very fun day. So what we're talking about is the day. Day is the subject in our sentence here. So we're going to use the el, ella, usted form because even though it's used for he, she, and you in a formal way, it's also used when you're referring to things that you would describe as it. We're going to use the el, ella, usted form, which would be fue. Fue un día muy divertido. Now we're going to move on and talk about the preterite of the verb hacer. Hacer has its own preterite tense forms. In the el, ella, usted form, the C of the stem becomes a Z before the O. So there's a slight spelling change only in the el, ella, usted form. So remember, hacer is a verb that means to do or to make. So in the yo form, we have hice. In the tu form, we have hiciste. In the el, ella, usted forms, we have hizo. Nosotros, nosotras, hicimos. Vosotros, vosotras, hicisteis. And ellos, ellas, ustedes, hicieron. So our examples here, we have, what did you do yesterday? ¿Qué hizo usted ayer? Now this example has decided to take it in the way of a formal you. That's why we're using usted and the conjugation hizo. Now I want to challenge you to try to write this question again, but use the informal version of you. How would you write that? Go ahead and pause the video and try it out. So if you're going to rewrite this as the informal version of you would have ¿Qué hiciste tú ayer? So it's replacing that hizo with hiciste and replacing usted with tú. The next example we see is I did homework. So we're using the yo form of hacer in the preterite tense. Hice la tarea. Next up we have the preterite of ver and dar. Ver and dar take regular er and ir past tense endings in the preterite. However, they do not have accent marks. So let's look at ver first. Ver means to see. So in the yo form, we have vi. In the tú form, we have viste. In the él, ella, usted form, we have vio. In the nosotros, nosotras form, we have vimos. Vosotros, vosotras, visteis. And ellos, ellas, ustedes, dieron. Our verb dar follows pretty similarly. Dar means to give. We have yo, di, tú, diste. Él, ella, usted, dio. Nosotros, nosotras, dimos. Vosotros, vosotras, disteis. And ellos, ellas, ustedes, dieron. And our examples there, we have, we saw a lot of interesting art at the museum. So in order to say we saw, we're using the nosotros form of ver in the preterite, which would be vimos. Vimos mucho arte interesante en el museo. And my friend gave me a gift. Mi amigo me dio un regalo. We're even using one of our indirect object pronouns. Okay, that is all we have for this video today. If you missed any parts, or you need to go back, go ahead and re-watch any parts that you need to review. Once you are feeling more confident, go ahead and start on practice number 1 that follows our preterites of ir, ser, hacer, ver, and dar notes. I will see you in class. Adios!